Alright, boys. It is officially Aquarius season, so if you are new to my channel, my name is Lorraine and I love going over everything astrology, especially sun-moon combinations. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Aquarius Sun with Leo Moon. So I'm going to start off the video by talking about what a typical Aquarius sun is like, and then I will get into the moon placement and talk about how the moon probably affects certain aspects of the sun sign. So if there's certain parts of my Aquarius sun description that don't quite fit or don't really resonate with you, then hang on until you hear my description of your moon sign and how they interact with each other, and then it will probably tie together quite nicely and make a lot of sense. Now, before I get started, I want to let you know that once a month I'm giving away a free astrology birth chart reading. So if you want to know how you can enter into this draw and potentially get a free reading from myself, which would cover more than just your sun and moon sign like in this video, then stay tuned till the end and I'll let you know how to enter. But now let's dive into Aquarius Sun. So Aquarius Suns are very easygoing, patient, unique, and intellectual. They're definitely the most opinionated air sign. Libra and Gemini, they do like learning about information and having ideas, but I find that they tend to kind of be pretty airy about how much they stick to those opinions. Aquarius is a lot more opinionated, and they are a lot less likely to bend to other people's opinions and other people's like pressure to agree with them. Aquarius is far more likely to be opinionated and refuse to conform to what other people think. Because a lot of the time when you're opinionated, you're going to have some pushback or conflict from other people that don't agree with you. And I find that Gemini and Libra are the two air signs that are far more likely to kind of cave to some pressure or just understand both sides or just want to get along. Aquarius is a little less like that. They're far more likely to stand firm in their opinions. The nice thing about Aquarius though is they tend to, like, despite their strong opinions, they tend to not be very judgmental of others for their differing views. In fact, I find Aquarius can have quite a bit of respect for other people's viewpoints if they, aren't aggressive or mean about it. Basically, if two people are able to just have differing viewpoints and actually have a real conversation, and if Aquarius is able to understand like how people got to that understanding or that belief or that opinion, they're pretty likely to kind of understand and not be super judgmental about it. They don't easily get offended. Aquarius is not an emotional placement, and they're quite objective, and so they tend to have kind of a live and let live mentality. So the only time an Aquarius is not those things, where they're the time that an Aquarius is judgmental and does not have a live and let live mentality, is if they feel like the other person, or if someone is infringing on either their freedom or someone else's freedom in some way, or has an opinion that is potentially harmful or something like that. So Aquarius is very concerned about freedom and individuality. And so if someone has an opinion that's, say, very narrow-minded, or it kind of infringes on people's ability to be an individual and a free-thinking individual, then that's when Aquarius can be kind of judgmental and stick up for people. They love to, Aquarius is a very rebellious placement, and they love to stand up for other people, and they love to stand up for causes. So you'll probably tend to see, like, if Aquarius is standing up for some kind of cause where they want to create change of some kind, it usually has to do with freedom and individuality and kind of unity. They want people to be able to stand up for like this unity and this collective ideal of some kind. And that's kind of what you see happening lately with what's going on with Wall Street bets on the stock market. Saturn and Jupiter entered into Aquarius. First we had the great conjunction, and now they're both transiting through Aquarius throughout this year. And I had said in one of my transit videos that I think you're going to start see some kind of uprising and rebellion when it comes to freedom and wanting people to have like their collective freedoms, and people kind of being more united and banding together to create some sort of freedom when it comes to authority, government, work, finances, that sort of thing. And so we're starting to see that. And that's just pinnacle Aquarius, is rebelling to create some sort of change in the direction of freedom and standing for a collective cause. So Aquarius is also known for being quite aloof. That comes from being very independent and just wanting their own individuality and freedom. So they can come across across quite aloof. They're just not a very emotional placement. They don't get easily worked up. But despite that, they do enjoy relationships with like of all kinds, romantic, friendship, otherwise. They enjoy getting to know lots of people, and they enjoy connecting with people, and they can be a very reliable and faithful friend as long as that person doesn't infringe on their independence and their freedom. So it can come across to other people as them being very cold when they have this relationship with a person, whether it's a friendship or romantic or a family, a member of some kind. They can have what feels like a very close relationship. They get along really well, and the Aquarius Sun is really easy to get along with. You know, they're the kind of people you can just hang out in their company and in their presence, and you don't really have to try super hard, right? And they're not the kind of people that you have to like plan some big thing to do with them. Like, they're the people that you could just like sit in silence with and actually enjoy their company. And you could do this if it has been like a year since you've seen them. You know, Aquarius Suns don't need a lot of attention. They don't need to be in constant contact. But you can pick up where you left off, even if it's been a long time since you've seen them. Now, the where Aquarius comes across as very cold and detached is because their individuality and their freedom is the most important thing to them. And so they can have a pretty good relationship with someone. Like I mentioned, it doesn't have to be romantic. So they can have this relationship with a person and seem quite close and get along really well. As soon as that person, though, is infringing on their independence and freedom, that is when Aquarius is able to drop them like a hot sack of potatoes and cut them off, essentially. So that's where, to other people, that seems very cold and, oh, like, how could you do that if, like, you know, we're close friends or we're dating or whatever it is. As soon as an Aquarius feels trapped, they are gone. And so that's just how they operate, because for them, the number one most important thing to them is their individuality and their independence and their freedom. And so as soon as you are going for that, they are out. And this can depend on the moon placement, which we will get to. Now, lastly, about Aquarius Sun is they, like I mentioned, are so concerned with being an individual and being unique. And sometimes I feel like the Aquarius puts like so much pressure on themselves to be unique and intellectual and different. You know, they're the kind of people that are into like conspiracy theories and alien life and just a lot of cool stuff, you know. But sometimes they can be so concerned about you being unique and being different and going against social norms that sometimes they just do it for the sake of being different or the sake of being unique. Not all of them, but some do. It's just that's so important to them that like it's almost as if sometimes I think Aquarius's self-worth is attached to how unique they are and how how special they are compared to other people. I think Aquarius's biggest fear would be being average or being mediocre. So sometimes I feel like they put too much pressure on themselves, or they're so concerned with being unique and being different that sometimes they do it just for the sake of being unique and different, even if that's not truly who they are or what they're interested in or want to do. Now, before I get started on the moon sign, I just wanted to let you know about the Kickstarter campaign that I have officially launched. At the time of recording this is how much I have raised already, and I would really appreciate if you would check it out if you enjoy the content that I'm making. This Kickstarter campaign will be helping fund the content that I'm making for this YouTube channel, like the sun-moon combinations, and it will also help fund the making and printing of this beautiful tarot deck. So I will leave a link in the description if you want to check that out. In the meantime, let's get back to today's video. So now we get to Leo moon. So Leo and Aquarius are opposite each other, which means this can be a polarizing pairing at times, but it can actually be quite dynamic and powerful. I always say that opposite placements aren't opposite in every way. They aren't different in every way, and not every aspect of their personalities and their qualities are incompatible. So it can actually be quite a powerful placement if you know how to overcome the challenges. I'd actually argue that opposite placements can be less challenging at times than square, because usually opposite placements like I mentioned, they're not opposite in every way or different in every way. There's usually one or two central ideals that is opposite and is polarizing, whereas squares are usually different in more ways than one. Sometimes almost every conceivable way they're different and just kind of butt heads. They're not necessarily opposite, they're just very different in a hard to reconcile way. So that said, I will get started on Leo moon. So Leo moons are very energetic, charismatic, passionate, and they love to be the center of attention. They're quick learners when it's something they're passionate about. If they're not passionate about it, they can be quite stubborn about not devoting their time and energy to it, like most fire signs, to be honest. Leo moons are very social. They have a good sense of humor and very motivated by status and luxury and popularity. Leo moons want to be popular. They want to be the center of attention, and they really want to look good and have people love and admire them. So the weaknesses they have is that this can kind of lead to being quite self-centered and vain and quite bossy. They love being the center of attention. They love being seen as popular, big, and important. The issue that Leo moons and Leo placements in general run into is, like I mentioned, they can be vain and self-centered. This can even slip into a bit of narcissism if they're not careful, because the problem they run into is that they can be kind of reliant on people's praise and their words of affirmation and their admiration, and if they're too reliant on that can be their source of confidence. That's kind of what inflates their ego, makes them feel good about themselves. So if they don't have that, if they don't learn to get their confidence from like an internal source, then they can be too reliant on other people. And if they don't get it from other people, they can be really lacking in the self-confidence area, and then that pushes them to kind of because I find Leo placements can have a hard time being vulnerable, and so they can kind of try to put on a show and seem like they're very confident when they're actually quite insecure underneath the surface. And that's when, because self-confidence and being confident, that comes from a truly confident place, right? Arrogance is when someone is trying to be presented as confidence when it's not, and it's actually quite insecure, and that's what leads to arrogance and potentially narcissism. For the most part, though, if Leo placements do have a good support system, and if they're able to kind of get confidence from an internal source, then, and just if they have good people in their life, then they're usually quite caring and very generous and wear their heart on their sleeve and would really do anything for their loved ones. This means that the Aquarius Sun is a lot more of a people person. They're a lot more passionate and probably able to be a lot more charismatic and get to know a lot of people and just have a lot more vitality and passion, similar to Aries. But when Leo moon and Aquarius kind of have trouble, and the way they're opposite is when it comes to the ego and when it comes to freedom and individuality. They can both actually, they both do take their own freedom quite seriously, but the difference is that Aquarius is concerned also about other people's freedom and kind of having a live let live approach, not being judgmental, being open-minded, and evolving. That's the big thing, is Aquarius is not afraid to reinvent themselves. In fact, they could be very unique and dress a certain way and do all of these things, and then as the fashion trends change, they might switch theirs up to be even more unique if their previous style started to become more mainstream. On the other hand, Leo can be quite egotistical, and they have a very me first approach, and in fact sometimes they can be overbearing and assert themselves over people and infringe on people's freedoms, and that's what Aquarius cannot stand. So they could have quite a hard polarizing time balancing this, and Leo is sometimes they're too proud to change. They have a harder time evolving than Aquarius, and so those two main points are where they would struggle to find a balance, and it can be quite polarizing. But if they're able to strike a balance, and if they're able to work it out so that they have the best of both worlds, I could see this being someone who is a person who is able to evolve, but it being in a very genuine to themselves sort of way. Because sometimes Aquarius can be over the top when it comes to evolving, where they're like, I have to be different, versus Leo moon is like, I am me, and that is it. So it could actually be where they are able to strike a balance in that they're able to evolve when they need to, when it is a genuine way where it's like, I don't have to change just for the sake of changing and just for the sake of being different. I can change when I truly authentically want to change and evolve for the better and be a more authentic version of myself. And so that could be just a really great combination, and it's going to be really helpful for Aquarius to have like the passion and the charisma and the energy that Leo moon has. And it would also be great for Leo moon to have like the free thinking, more open-minded, live and let live approach to people. So that is all I have planned for today's video. Thank you for watching all of the way through. As promised, I wanted to let you know how you could enter to win the free birth chart reading. So all you have to do is subscribe to my channel and then comment below the video letting me know that you have done so. When you've done those two things, both of those, then you will be entered to win a free birth chart reading from myself, and then I will announce the winner at the end of the month. I'll release a video on the last day of each month, and that's how you'll be able to watch to find out if you've won. So stay tuned for that, and good luck. And if you're feeling generous, you could give this video a like and potentially check out my Kickstarter campaign. That is all for now. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more. I hope to see you again. Take care.